Welcome to episode 1 of our series Creationism and Evolutionism, an introduction to creationism. In today's episode, we delve into the fundamental belief of our tradition, the Torah of Moses, which centers around creationism. This belief posits the divine creation of the world, standing in contrast to evolutionism, an alternative theory proposed in various forms to explain the origin of species. For those who embrace creationism, there's no need to be swayed by an alternative theory. Just as we wouldn't expect Muslims to be troubled by an alternative theory to God's will, we, as believing Jews, find little in common with the Christian creationist movement. Our sages and Jewish thinkers have never shown concern over the theory of evolution. If someone believes they have an alternative theory, let them explore it. It's not our responsibility to dissect their writings to find faults or deceit. Judaism traditionally does not actively engage in scientific debates. When Galileo challenged the prevailing worldview, it was the Christian church that reacted defensively, not the Jewish scholars of the time. Our faith in God and the divine origin of the Torah is far too profound to hinge on any scientific discovery. Whether the scientific community revolves around us or we around it, our faith remains steadfast. Interestingly, Christian creationists often base their faith on debates against figures like Dawkins, teaching evolution in churches to debunk its logic. Some go to great lengths, labeling all scientists as deceivers or conspirators. This approach might stem from the Christian belief in the absurd as a basis for faith, necessitating bizarre safeguards around the belief that a man who lived 2,000 years ago is God and the Messiah. In contrast, our faith is grounded in the historical tradition of the Jewish people, the giving of the Torah, and the revelation of God. So, what are we doing discussing creationism? The focus is on the evolutionist movement, an activist group aiming to present the theory of evolution as a proven fact, a perfect theory without flaws. This stance contradicts the reality of scientific inquiry, where the theory of evolution serves as a general trend for explaining life's origin. While it is the foundation for contemporary research into life's origins, it's valid as a direction for research, not as a proven or flawless theory. This does not mean all scientists are deceitful. Rather, the activist evolutionist group does a disservice to truth and science by presenting a trend as fact, interpretation as evidence, and speculative science as verified findings. Just as Christian preachers present creationism as a scientific theory, thereby claiming intelligent design to be more scientifically valid than evolution, such assertions are nonsensical. The acts of the Creator are not a scientific theory, they cannot be measured and do not belong within scientific methodology. Nor is there any need to gather personal attacks against Darwin or to pinpoint his personal errors. This publicized cockfight does a disservice to science, as reputable scientists may hesitate to publicly discuss evolution's issues, fearing their arguments might be co-opted by creationists as evidence against evolution. Framing any issue with evolution as a litmus test for scientific validity prevents journals from publishing articles that highlight these problems, associating them with creationism, science denial, or the belief in a God who plants fossils. Sensible people understand that the theory of evolution does not directly affect the question of faith. An atheist does not need a flawless theory of evolution to disbelieve in God, and a believer does not need to find faults in evolution to maintain faith. This view is shared by the greatest thinkers and philosophers of our time and in recent generations. Given the current era of information accessibility, a lot of evolutionary material is available, from Dawkins' popular books to various websites promoting evolutionism, even influencing platforms like Wikipedia slightly. It seems necessary to temper this preaching. Our intention is to provide information on the scientific questions surrounding evolution that are still debated. Ideally, this information would be readily available in basic educational materials outlining the theory's limitations. Unfortunately, unnecessary conflicts have led some in the establishment to shy away from clearly presenting these limitations. Thus, for anyone caught in this debate, I aim to highlight the unresolved aspects of the theory of evolution. We've strived to include only clear, verified information that withstands scrutiny, citing clear sources and, whenever possible, internet links to individuals, books, articles, and terms. You'll find all of this in the description below. We didn't limit my research to creationist writings. I also looked at evolutionist responses, aiming to provide links or summaries to the opposing side's arguments. We don't need to take creationist claims at face value, nor should we blindly follow missionary zealots. And certainly we shouldn't assume that wherever a missionary debates a scientist, the missionary is correct. However, anyone delving into these topics should consider the researchers who legitimize the theory of evolution's challenges. As mentioned, these researchers themselves note the caveats, and many critical articles are not tied to creationism. Remember, creationist writings can contain errors, lies, distortions, and any other human error. We cannot rely on their words. Even when their claims are transcribed, they should not be taken as gospel, simply because they oppose evolution. These points are presented for consideration and verification, nothing more. Below in the description, you'll find references to a comprehensive list of websites from both sides of the debate. Common misconceptions among creationists. Misconception number 1. Evolution implies there is no creator. This is a misunderstanding. Evolution does not address the question of a creator, and many who accept the theory also believe in some form of deity. Atheists may use evolution to support their disbelief, but the theory itself is neutral on the question of God. Misconception number 2. Evolution explains the origin of life. This is incorrect. The origin of life is a separate field dealing with abiogenesis. Evolution explains the diversification of life from pre-existing life forms. Misconception number 3. Evolution claims that older species were replaced by newer species for survival. This is a misconception. The theory does not claim that an entire species was replaced, but that in specific isolation events, one group may have been replaced by a mutant that reproduced. Misconception number 4. Evolution claims that current species evolved from each other. This is a mistake. The theory suggests that current species are part of a tree, but most did not evolve directly from each other, but from common ancestors. Misconception number 5. Scientists deceive and lie because they do not want to believe in God. This is not always an accurate portrayal. Many times scientific writings may seem forced or odd because they adhere to the scientific principle of discussing only empirical phenomena without involving supernatural explanations. Scientists, being human, are subject to all the familiar human traits. Misconception number 6. Creationism or intelligent design are more successful scientific theories than evolution. This is incorrect. Creationism is not a scientific theory. Science is limited to empirical evidence. Creationism is a belief or philosophical stance and cannot be defined as a scientific theory. Misconception number 7. Religion contradicts any possibility of species development through evolution. Religion does not determine scientific facts. It asserts the existence of God and divine creation as core beliefs. The debate over evolution relates to interpretations of creation within religious texts, and interpretations vary among scholars. For believing Jews, the opinions of authoritative Jewish interpreters are relevant. Misconception number 8. God expects us to reconcile his words even if they contradict our understanding. This is another misconception. God does not expect irrationality. The foundations of faith are not measurable, and thus can never be contradicted by science. Discussions on scientific questions in relation to scripture or faith always involve interpretations of details in light of current knowledge, not a reconciliation of God's words. Stay tuned for more episodes where we explore these topics in depth. Don't forget to check the description below for a wealth of resources on both sides of the debate. Thank you for watching Episode 1, An Introduction to Creationism. Join us next time as we continue to explore the fascinating dialogue between creationism and evolutionism.